I was kind of in my cheerleading vibe when that happened.
Definitely was high school vibes.
I love it. I need noises. Well, welcome everybody back to my 32 fan series. If this is the first episode you are listening to, you have been missing out. But what I am doing is I'm talking to 32 different fans from all 32 NFL teams. And I have one of my favorite people up here, one of the lone Tampa Bay Bucs fans that I know. So if you ever do say no and somebody else shows up here, just everybody needs to
I
know
feel some
now
type
it
of
was
way,
your
man.
fault.
I'm gonna feel some type of way. I only know a handful of Tampa fans anyway, so I mean, ain't many of us somewhere.
If that happens, okay, everyone, just know
I
that
got
it's
you.
his fault. No,
I'm the resident Tampa fan. Nobody else has this slot right here, man.
This is yours as long as you want it. So yeah, I'm here with Technically T. I'll let you introduce yourself, but for those of you that don't know, every episode that I have, all of his information will be in the description, so you don't have to search far. But if you want to just introduce yourself and let people know whatever you want them to know about who you are, and then your Tampa Bay fandom also, because they're kind of rare.
Yeah. So when it comes to YouTube, Technically T, I have a YouTube channel. I talk about tech and accessories. So if you're into the cases and just general tech, of just some real talk, that's kind of what I do. You know, I've been doing it for like 7 years now. So YouTube play button in the little corner over there. So
and where's your subscriber count on? Because I know that it's kind of moving.
130,000. So we growing, you know, take a little mental break right now on YouTube, but we get back to it next week. So if you're a tech person, all right, I talk sports like on my spare time, you know what I mean? So I'm a sports head, been a Tampa Bay fan for I don't know how long. I mean, probably early 2000s, you know what I mean? I've been rocking with him through the down year, through the good years. Our Tom Brady Super Bowl year, you know what I mean, gave me a little hope. And here we now with Baker, but we'll talk about him a little later. So, but diehard Tampa fan, you can't get me to switch up. I'm in Atlanta, and I hate the Falcons, hate everybody in NFC South. I like Carolina because I'm from North Carolina, so I kind of, you know, by default, but F them too. So, yeah.
I love it. You know what? I've already, as this recording, I've already talked to the Falcons fan.
Really?
And one of the things that she said, or I said, because I realized it when she was talking, because she was the same. She was like, I don't care about them in this. And I was like, the NFC South is like the SEC, because that's how the SEC is. Like, no, who cares? Like, we don't like each other. I don't like them. I don't like them. I don't care if they don't know that. You know, it's like, you guys are like that very much.
You know what? Off topic, real quick. We could talk about this at the end. You should do a roundtable of the conferences, of the divisions.
With everybody on screen.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
Well,
we can talk about that. I just thought about that.
Everybody always is like, here's another thing you can do. I'm like, so where's that? Because
that'll be fun, from? You know, coming from different players, like different fans. But anyway, we'll talk about that off camera. We'll talk about that.
Awesome. Well, I love that. So, okay, how are you feeling as a Tampa Bay Bucs fan? Okay, because it feels like last season, good, not this season past, but like 2 years ago, decent season. Last season, and then Evans leaves, Baker. Like, how are you feeling? And then the guy retired that had been there for a really long time.
Yeah, Levante David.
How are you feeling? Great press conference, by the way.
So great. No ill will from Levante David. Mike Evans, but I'm feeling okay. You know what I mean? I feel like the people we lost, we did replace. Now, there's no replacing a Mike Evans. All right, there's no replacing a first ballot gold jacket Hall of Famer. There's no replacing that. But I feel like we kind of supplemented him very well. You know, the Levante David, another vet, all right, and probably should be another Hall of Famer. We didn't fully replace him, but I feel like the linebacker position, I feel like can be supplemented with when it comes to the DBs and your D line. You know what I mean? So I feel like we kind of made up for him in a different way. How I feel about the Bucs in general, it's a question mark. It's a big question mark. Quarterback position, a little bit of the coaching decisions. Let's just kind of see. It's not really so much of doom and gloom because of the players that we lost. I think we're fine in that category. Okay. But just the other aspects of the team, I'm a little just question mark. I don't know what quarterback I'm going to get. I don't know what kind of coaching I'm going to get. Like, those are the things that has me like in NFC South is now getting pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, the Panthers are looking good. The Saints look pretty good with their recent pickups. The Falcons, I still think they have a pretty good team. So I'm like, we're just not sitting up there riding high on top like we have been for years. So we're going to have to figure some stuff out. The NFC South was a dumpster fire last season. I think this season it might smooth its way out a little bit. I don't know where that'll be for the Bucs. So it's a little bit of uneasiness. You know what I mean? I gotta just see. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where I have to just see what we're working with, see you in the preseason, just kind of see what team shows up. But it's one position that I'm really like, I'm paying very close attention to. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you already know. So yeah.
Yeah, but before we get there,
if you like this video, now is a perfect time to take a second and hit that like button and leave us a comment in the comment section below.
Let's talk about the draft. What one word do you have for the draft after it was over?
Consistent. Because I feel like last year it was I loved our draft pick last year. Every single pick, I loved them. This year, same thing. I feel like it is being if it's one thing that front office is doing at Tampa is they're having hell of a drafts. Like they're hitting all the points. You know what I mean? So I feel really good about our draft class. Even some of the later rounds, I had to kind of go back and look at it. Now I watched most of the draft, but I had to kind of go back and look at our last like 2 picks, and I like it. You know what I mean? I like where they were coming from. So I mean, I felt really good about our draft. I give them an A. Like I wouldn't change much more. I was kind of in question of who they were going to pick with the first round. I think it could have went very different if Bain wasn't there. I had no idea who was going to get Ruben Bain. No idea. Like I was just like, yes, you know, I love Ruben Bain.
Okay.
I thought we was going to go with the Oregon tight end. I thought that's who we were going to pick up.
The
that
fast
was
guy.
Sadiq. I think that's who kind of was rumoring. But love our draft picks. Wouldn't trade it for nothing. Like I think we did very good. We addressed all the needs that we, that was kind of a question mark. So I think that's 2 years in a row where they've absolutely nailed it when it came to the draft.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. So who was your favorite, like who do you think is going to end up being a steal that you got on day 2 or day 3?
The Ted Hurst, the wide receiver out of Georgia State. Like he was, I remember him in college. Now I didn't really, of course, not really following Georgia State like that, even though I'm in the Atlanta area, but I do remember him having the opportunity to go to any school he wanted to. But he stayed loyal and stayed at Georgia State. And he had 2 back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. Like the dude is a 6'4", 210, runs a 4.4. So he gives me that Mike Evans replacement. You know what I mean? I feel like he is the Mike Evans replacement because outside of that, you got Ibuka, you got McMillan, you have Tez Johnson, you have those guys. But I feel like the true X is probably Ibuka, but everybody else is kind of a smaller slot guy. Yeah. So he gives me that 1-to-1, I feel, Mike Evans replacement. He's faster than Mike Evans, kind of a little more athletic. So I'm really excited about Ted Hurst because it kind of clicked in the back of my mind when he got drafted. I'm like, oh, I remember all the big schools were offering him, and he stayed loyal to Georgia State, which is crazy to me in this world of transfer portal and NIL. And that stuck in my head. Like, I like this guy's character already because he wanted to stay and get developed. He loved his coaches. He was comfortable. That says a lot about a player in this day's college football atmosphere. So I think Ted Hurst is going to be an absolute beast. He has the frame. He has the ability. I think he gives us that over the top receiver that I'm really looking forward to. And I think people are sleeping on. So I think he is that Mike Evans replacement. You know what I mean? He may not start.
Replacement.
Replacement. Not saying he's going to be.
We're not saying,
I feel like when you need that big body to go up and make a play, that's what he does, and he does it well.
Perfect.
So I'm really loving that Ted Hurst pick. Like, and that was our 3rd pick. Yes, that was our 3rd pick. Okay. So I love it.
I love that. And I always like to let people know, like, when we know it's Mike Evans, like we're aware, but he has to be replaced at some point. So it's like just whenever
I feel a certain way that he left. I thought he was going to retire a Buck. I just knew that. And then when he left, I'm like, you can't make me hate Mike. You can never make me hate Mike. I'm just a little bit disappointed because I just knew he was going to retire a Buck. You know what I mean?
I was actually disappointed that he left.
I was disappointed.
And
I'm like, why? You're gonna say it was a why, but I'm like, you know what? If you feel like you have the juice left, go. And like I said, we'll get into the
yeah.
Okay.
Who was the one player from your draft class that you think is going to make the biggest immediate impact?
I don't want it to be cliche to be the first pick. You know what I mean? But it'd be almost between him or Keontae Scott, both from Miami. Ruben Bain was the first pick. Keontae Scott was the 4th pick, which I feel like was, I think if you have a question up here about the steal, like the steal of the draft, I feel was Keontae Scott.
He's going to be your steal. Okay.
I think he's the absolute steal. 4th round, I think. And the dude is just a playmaker. That's one of the two players that I really picked up on when I started watching Miami in the playoffs was Ruben Bain and Keandre Scott. And the fact that they're both at Tampa has me very excited because I think they both fit a Todd Bowles defense. Well, I will say the first pick.
Todd Bowles.
Oh, yeah. First pick, Jeremiah Trotter, was the linebacker, which is our second pick out of Missouri. I feel like he picked players that all fits his scheme, which is just downhill, physical type ball. And I feel like they all can do that. And Ruben Bain, I mean,
he's that.
You know what I mean? Like that dude is he is a playmaker. Like I didn't really pay attention to Miami during the season. You know what I mean? But I started watching them like this dude is in the backfield. I don't care about the short arms. Look, you can say what you want to say. The bend that Ruben Bain has to get around that corner and the agility that he has, it can't be coached. So I'm like, I feel like he'll come in and give us that immediate impact. And if I had to say someone else outside of the cliche first pick, it'd be Ted Hurst, just like I stated. I think it'd be him as well. I think he gives us that receiver that we don't have, and we give it to him. And I feel like we will have sets that he has that he can come in and make a statement. You know what I mean? The guy's a playmaker. You got to get him in there. So, but the cliche pick is Ruben Bain just because of he's just disruptive. You know what I mean? I think that's what we needed coming off that edge. So, yeah.
And now he has a chip on his shoulder, like nothing better than that.
You see him snatch the hat.
I love it when that happens.
Pictures. He didn't want it because I think the guy's been. Look at his road to the draft. They talked about his metrics. They talked about his arms. The car accident came up, so that guy got passed over. And when he dropped to us, I'm like, I love that. I never would have thought I had Ruben Bain. Never would have thought it.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
He has a chip
That's
on his shoulder.
That's the joys of the draft.
I think people are gonna. I think he's gonna make it known too that he has a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah. My only complaint about Ruben Bain is the brown, the all brown. That wasn't really.
I wasn't mad at it. I like the hue. I like the hue. I like the color palette they had going on with the family. But
you know what? I didn't even think to look at the rest of what everybody else.
It was a meaning. Somebody at work. We were just talking about it. There was a whole meaning behind the brown.
Fair. Then you know what? If you have a plan, I always tell people that if you have a plan. I love it. Then I love it.
I forgot what it was.
Okay.
But it was done on purpose. You know what I mean?
Okay. Perfect. Then you know what? Then I love it. My bad. I was wrong. I'm okay admitting when I'm wrong, and I was wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a player your team passed on multiple times that you were thinking, if we don't, this is going to come back to haunt us?
You know what? That's the question. Like, I don't think so. You know what I mean? And I'm a person who watches the draft. Like my girlfriend's like, are you going to turn? Like, no, I'm going to watch until the last round. Like I won because I know I can be cleaning up and I'll hear a player's name. Like, okay. You know what I mean? So I don't think there's nobody that we constantly passed up on that we were like, I wish we would get him. No, not really. I don't think so. You know what I mean? Good. I kind of did my research and look at other teams. I'm like, I think we did just right for what we needed. Yeah.
You know, I love when people do research. I mean, you're speaking my language.
I'm not going to come up here and not do research, but I know my team at the back of my hand, so I know it. You know what I mean?
I love it. You know what? That is why you will always be here. I always tell people, I'm like, when people show up with like they're like, oh, you know what? Hold on. Yeah, I typed a note. I'm like, yes, tell me the note. What did you type?
I have a notepad. Each of my draft picks. I have a whole notepad. Like I'm like, okay. Because I don't know. I don't know every player. So I'll do my research on where they came from, what school creates. If he creates that, that pedigree of player, then I'm gonna look at it. And I'm going to talk about something that you don't have on your list that I'm gonna talk about.
Oh, okay.
We'll get to it at the end.
Well, okay. Yeah, I always say like anybody that comes up here and they're like, oh, and his numbers were, I'm like, yes, tell me the numbers. Like, I just love it. I love when people do their research. I love it. It just makes me so happy. So shout out to that. Okay, what do you think success is going to look like this year for your team?
I would love for
what would success be like? Let me ask it differently.
I mean, for the NFC South, that's not much. You know what I mean? Let's be real. So I think success for us is let's just get back to being a dominant team in the NFC South. You know what I mean? Like that's when you think about NFC South and the team that's on top, you think Tampa Bay. You don't think anybody else. You know what I mean? It's just now this year where you kind of throw Carolina in there. You can throw the Falcons in there, even though they didn't have the best year. I think they have the talent. I think it's more so coaching. You know what I mean? And for someone who hates Atlanta, I will say last year coming out of the draft, I was afraid to play Atlanta because I feel like they were that loaded. And I still feel like they're very loaded. You know what I mean? So for us is I just want to get back to being that dominant team that knows that they're the best in the NFC South and they run the South. That was our quote. We run the South. So I'm like, let's get back to that mindset of knowing that this is our conference. You know what I mean? Like nobody else can play with us. I just wanted them to get back to that mindset because we can't say that right now. We don't run no conference. You know what I mean? Nobody does. It's up in the air. So I just want us to get back to that we run the South Conference. You know what I mean? That mindset.
That's fair. Which position group worries you the most right now?
Quarterback. You knew that was going. You had to know that was coming. You know what I mean? I'm just, and this leads into my question that even you don't have. Okay. So quarterback position, just Baker. I was all on Baker's. I think if you go back in the
for
channel,
years.
I was on Baker's side. But then I feel like Baker does this when he goes to a new team. He'll have a hot streak and then he'll fizzle out. And when he fizzles out, he fizzles all the way out. You know what I mean?
That's fair. Yeah.
I'm hoping that is my question mark. This team is going to go as far as Baker takes it. And I feel like I may have said that even last time we had this conversation, because I feel like it just sits on his shoulders. Like if Baker's going to play like he has the ability to play, we have all the pieces around us. You know what I mean? Yeah. We have a decent offensive lineman. The receivers, I mean, golly, we have receivers galore.
Plethora.
You know what I mean? Running back, you got Bucky. Then we got Gainwell from Pittsburgh.
From my Steelers. I know.
So
I don't like it.
Then we got the young boy.
Send him back. Name. Oh, sorry. Sorry, that's not what this is about.
So,
I had a moment. I'm sorry.
We got solid tight ends. I feel like we have everything around. You know what I mean? But then we got the offensive coordinator from the Falcons. And I'm just like, so quarterback is my biggest worry.
Okay.
And it leads me to the next thing, like I stated to you.
Tell me.
Two of my favorite undrafted free agents that we picked up.
Oh, is that the question you think I should have asked?
No. That was just saying that was something that you might can add. Like, because I like two of my undrafted free agents.
Who?
I like Eric Rivers, the wide receiver from Georgia Tech. He had an amazing season. He had over, I think, a 1,200-yard season when he was at FIU. He transferred to Georgia Tech, got banged up a little bit, was supposed to be the number one receiver. He ended the year with like 600 and some yards. He'll blow the back end. His playmaking ability and the speed is ridiculous.
Okay.
So I feel like when I saw we picked him up, I'm like, oh wow, wait a minute, he didn't get drafted. And that's because he had kind of injuries. His last year didn't really pan out in his way. We picked him up. Even though we're stacked at receiver, I still like that pickup just because of his speed alone. Dude is a speedster. So I love that pickup. But then we got Jalen Daniels. Not sure if you remember it. You watched Colorado, the black quarterback from Kansas.
The black.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He's not going to drop a dime, but I like his edginess. You know what I mean? I kind of like what he kind of brings. So I was like
his swag.
I like that pickup.
He's
because
kind of like Baker, but white. As far as that, it's not the football, but just like how he carries himself. As far as
you can kind of say that. You can kind of say that. So I really love those pickups. Yeah, he is. And I was just like, let me look at our undrafted free agents because you can get some gold mines in your undrafted. And I love those two. I saw some other ones, but I didn't really know who they were. But I knew those two names. And I'm like, I kind of like the edginess, the kind of rawness of Jalen Daniels, and I like the athleticism of Eric Rivers. You know what I mean? So I kind of like those two picks. But to get back to the original question, quarterback for me. Because Baker, and I don't feel much confident with us having I forgot about the offensive coordinator's name. From Falcons. I just
I wouldn't either after watching that offense.
I'm not a fan of it. So I'm curious to see how that works. But yeah, biggest question is quarterback. Baker scares me a little. You know what I mean? The fact that they were going to invest everything in him in the offseason, that raised a big red flag for me. You know what I mean? And this ties into one of your other questions that you have that will come in. I do my research, like I said.
Oh, listen.
So this ties into
this is your show. I am just here.
The question of if you could have a conversation with the front office.
Okay, we'll get there at the end. Okay,
yeah, that's the question. Like,
cool. We'll get there, and I'll give you the floor, and I'll be like, "This is your moment. Don't fail me. You go in. You got this."
Yep.
Okay, where has the team improved the most from last season?
You know what? I was really researching this.
You're like my favorite. I love
Because I mean, like, I'm trying to think about where we were weak at and where do we improve. You know what I mean? Like, if I have to say a position, it will probably be linebackers.
Okay.
But it's weird because we lost Levante David, but we have I can't think of his name from Detroit Lions. And I can't think of his name. His name butchers me with the long hair. He started for Detroit, and then we went and got Trotter. So I feel like that was such a hard question.
Okay.
But I feel like linebackers was the biggest improvement because you would think after losing a veteran that we'll be kind of like down.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're okay with our draft pick and who we picked up from Detroit. The analyst, I can't think of the guy's name. Long hair, white guy from Detroit. Can't think of his name. But picking both of them up, I think we've picked back up. And I think we're okay now. It had me worried at first when he did retire. I'm like, oh my God. That's my that's my Mike linebacker. What are we gonna do? To now, like, I think we're okay. You know what I mean? Okay. So for me, I think I would do linebacker because I think we did address it with the draft and the offseason pickups. So yeah.
So can I ask you a question? This is totally not a football question, but now I have to ask it.
Right.
Were you the student in school that, like, when your teacher gave you a grade, were you like, no, but I kind of did but I kind of did it?
No.
Okay.
No, I did my work, so I ain't have to argue a whole bunch of grades. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So
I'm just wondering.
No.
Yeah, I'm trying
to do my
to
research though. I mean, you can't come on a show like this and not know, like, let me think. You know what I mean? I bet you might have people like that.
It's just cracking me up.
It's just like people come up here and be like, let me think for a second. No, you had all week to think. You know what I mean?
I will be honest with you though. One of the things that makes me so happy and feel like so good about the series, everyone that comes and talks to me is like, oh, I was gonna have my crap together. Like, you weren't gonna call me out.
Because you have that demeanor, you have that teacher demeanor, like, no, I gotta have my shit together when I come to her class. You know what I'm saying? So this is the way I'm like, no, you gotta make sure. Let me see the questions. All right, let me do my research because I can't be stumbling on no questions. You know what I mean?
Well, it's funny too because, like, I mean, I don't usually pull it back the curtain a lot, and I won't do it a lot here. But like, there's certain people that I do these things with that people like know me for real, like outside of this. So it's always
come correct, man.
Listen. It's always interesting to see how those same people show up to things like this.
You can't
because you're like, no, I got the whole list.
Whole notepad. I was at work like on my work computer. I had a notepad, emailed it to myself. I was like, yeah,
I love it. You're like, there's a question you should ask. Like, I love it.
I told you I had to go back and look at my last two picks. Like, let me see what he got. Okay, cool, we good.
Oh God.
We good.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Well, listen, it makes my day. It makes me so happy when people like, and that's always been my fears. People are going to show up and like not know. No. Nobody ever does. They're like, no, hold on, I got that note. Like, I got it.
You can't say you're a fan of a team and you not know what's going on with your team. You know what I mean? I'm gonna question your fandom. You know what I mean?
So, same. Yeah. Well, listen, some people I listen to talk about their team, and I'm like, bro, that ain't his name. I'm not even a fan of your team, and I know that ain't him. So yeah. So, anyways,
oh my God, it's hilarious.
So what will you all do better than most teams in the NFL?
Probably bring a hungry defense. You know what I mean? I think that I've always saw Todd Bowles as a defensive coordinator, not a head coach. Mm-hmm. And that kind of also brings a question mark for me because, we don't have a defensive coordinator. Todd Bowles is our defensive coordinator. So that kind of like, I like it, but at the same time, you know what I mean? Like, I still want that resident defensive coordinator to kind of, I just want a guy there. You know what I mean? I want Todd Bowles to just be the head coach. I want a guy to be the defensive coordinator. But I can't say that because I love a Todd Bowles defense at the same time. You know what I mean? So I think we do bring that grit and that aggressiveness. And that's what I feel like every player that we picked up on the defensive side fits his scheme to the T.
Yeah.
Literally even down to the 5th round pick, I think, from the defensive tackle, Cape Hart out of Clemson. It's one position you think about when you think of Clemson, and that's defensive line. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I like this guy that we got. You know what I mean? Like, he's young. He fits he needs a little bit of coaching. He's a little raw on the edge, but he fits Todd Bowles' scheme, and that's why they got him. He plays like his head is on fire. So if I think it's one thing that we're going to do is we're going to play downhill. And that's kind of what we're known for. A Todd Bowles defense is known for going after the quarterback on that third down. It is known for just taking risky plays, you know what I mean? Being a little bit of risky when it comes to first downs, you know what I mean? So I think that's what we do well. I think that's what we do well.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. So the fun round, and this is going to get interesting because I kind of know how you feel about some of these things, but hey, we're going for it. Right. So first question is quarterback confidence on a scale from 1 to 5, 5 being you are extremely confident, 1 being, oh my gosh, fix it, please.
Quarterback confidence. On a scale of 1 to 5? A 2.
Okay.
I just the way Baker finished off last year, yeah. The way Baker, because I know he has the potential. So the way Baker finished off last year is just left me with question marks. I'm like, I just don't know. You know, I really do not know. So that's like we said, the position of concern. I'm a little bit concerned with question mark. I'm a little bit concerned about the quarterbacks. So I just don't know what Baker I'm gonna get. You know what I mean? I feel like once he loses his confidence, he loses it. You know what I mean? And then it gets in his head, and then he's just a mess. So I think that's where I'm at. When I saw that question, I was like, quarterback next. Like, I don't even got to think about it. You know what I mean? That's the position that concerns me as quarterback. So yeah.
Okay. Coaching staff trust level 1 to 5.
I'll give it a 3, just because like it's a question mark with the offensive coordinator for the Falcons. It's a big question mark because I didn't like some of the stuff they ran. They had the athletes and they really didn't. And now we got them. I'm like, oh my God, why do we get anything in conference, in division? So I just don't know how that's going to pan out in the whole Todd Bowles thing. I just want a guy at defensive coordinator. I know that you're defensive mind, but that alone shows me that you're more of a coordinator than a head coach. And I've always said that. I've always liked Todd Bowles as a defensive coordinator. Some coaches are coordinators. They're not head coaches. That's just the way it is. From college to NFL. You know what I mean? So, I just kind of, the decision making sometimes, and just, I feel like if we had a guy there, it can take it off of Todd Bowles when it comes to some decision making, even outside of the defense. You know what I mean? So, I got to give it a 3 because there's some question marks. You know what I mean? Like the offensive, what are we going to do? We have the talent. Some teams will wish they had the receivers that we had. You know what I mean? Like we have the talent. There's no excuse. Running back, wide receivers, tight ends. We have all the skill positions that we need. There isn't any excuse why we can't there's no excuse.
Be better.
Yeah.
Just be better.
Be better. And that's what made me mad about the season. Like we better than this. Like we are better than this. You know what I mean? So
your tweets during the season make me laugh.
Don't get me started. I gotta stay off Twitter. Don't get me started.
I have so many things I can say about you right now. I'm not going to, but there is something that you do very well where it's like the way that you tweet about your team is like not really what people think that you are, which makes it even funnier.
Listen, man, Tampa has made me so mad. I wish I had a compilation of watching the games when we won the Super Bowl. I'm surprised I didn't have a stroke. Like every day. Like, I mean, every game I'm yelling, voice going. Oh my God. Tampa takes me there, man. They're so up and down. They're so up and down.
Okay. That's fair. Who do you think will carry the team this year? Offense or defense?
Defense.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I think we still picked up. Like I said, I think the pickups are there from the leaders that we've had, coming back. Diaby, lost Levante David, but Antoine Winfield, some of the young guys, Benjamin Morris. Who?
Winfield? Did he just get? I think he just got a big contract.
He's like the highest paid safety, I think. So I think we have the pieces on the defense that'll carry us. So I easily think it'll be defense that gets us way. If we can play the downhill, give us a old school Todd Bowles defense, man, we can. Defense keeps us in the games a lot of the times, and Baker is a falling on his face. That's what happens.
Literally,
Baker will literally give the game away. That's our forte. You know what I mean? So it's like a defense. If you can just keep giving us a defense, and hopefully Baker can get over some speed bump he's stuck on.
If you could trade drafts with any other team, who would it be?
Nobody. I love our draft picks. You know what I mean? I love everyone. Everyone is spot on between Bain, Hurst, Keontae Scott, the young guy, the young offensive lineman from Notre Dame. Schroff, I think his name is, and even the Bauer guy, the sharp kid that we got from Auburn, I think. He's a tight end. He used to be a quarterback, but he played a little bit of receiver. He runs like
I know
a
exactly
4.6.
what you're talking about. Okay, yeah, I know exactly.
That was our last pick. He runs like a 4.6. I mean, it's like I like what you did with that pick.
Just
He's kind
athletes.
he's an athlete. You know what I mean? So and you got Schroff. I can't think of his name, but he played on both sides of the line behind a running back like Love. You know what I mean? So the guy has that. He's young. He's got a green. You know what I mean? But I feel like he has that. He's a good backup. You know.
Okay.
So
that's fair.
Yeah. I think
I love it. Yeah, I'm interested to see if anybody else that I record with is going to be like, no, I'm good. I like our draft.
It wasn't anything where I'm like, every pick I'm like, ooh, I like that. Ooh, like the first 4 picks I was super hype about. I'm like, I like every single pick. Now Trotter, the linebacker, he fits a Todd Bowles scheme, but a linebacker in Todd Bowles scheme is also a risky linebacker because that means they're good at being downhill and blitzing. Coverage is a little bit shaky. And that's been Trotter's whole thing since he was at Missouri and he came from West Virginia. That was been his thing. He's a down hold. Exactly. He's a downhill, knock your head off top linebacker. But if he has to back up in coverage, it's going to be a risk. You know what I mean? That's kind of what we faced. That's the Achilles heel in a Todd Bowles defense. We don't really have great coverage linebackers, but we coming downhill and filling the gaps. That's what we're going to do. Yeah. So, but the first 4 picks, I was ecstatic. Like I loved every single one. You know what I mean? So,
good for you. Good for you.
I guess you can't say the same for Steelers, but this isn't a Steelers episode. So. I don't even know who y'all got.
I don't even know why. Yeah. I don't even know why
we'll go there.
There's no need to even. Yeah. So if your team had a like this always happens or here we go again or of course this happens, what is that for your team? What is this always happens moment for your team?
I just spoke about it. When the defense keeps us in the game, Baker gets the ball, he just throws a pick or does some stupid mess, and they show the camera on him, and he's walking to the sideline with a disappointed face, unbuckling his trench strap. You know the face I'm talking about. Like, I'm going to send it to you during the season because it's going to happen. I'm going to send you a clip of it. That's what we do. You know, we'll have defense just keep us in the game, keep coming downhill. And Baker gets the ball and does something stupid, and it makes me riot and get my blood pressure up. So for me, that's what we always do. Defense keeps us in the game, Baker comes and sells us out every single time. So that's what we're known for.
I always wonder if people are healthier in the offseason when their teams aren't playing.
I lose my mind. My girlfriend's like, you're insane. I'm like, I know, but just let
me have this moment.
Just let me. And when it's a divisional game, I'm even crazier. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I'm even more insane. So yeah.
Okay, fair. I hate the Thursday games. Those piss me off. I'm like,
I don't mind Thursday games. I don't mind them.
I don't like a Thursday game if my team loses a Sunday. Because now I'm like, my team loses Sunday. Now I have to get ready to go. Then you lose on Thursday. Now I have to think about this loss for an entire additional week. We've lost 2 in a row.
I don't mind Thursday games, but those anomaly games like Monday night, Sunday night, I tend to not watch them sometimes because they come on too damn late sometimes, and I'll be asleep. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, you're on the East Coast.
I fall asleep a lot. I'm like, I'm going to sleep. Like I'm not staying up for this. You know what I mean? So sometimes, unless the Bucs playing, I'm struggling the next day at work. You know what I mean? And I'm always going to the Bucs Falcons game every year. That's not even a question. So
yeah, it's fun up in there, isn't it?
Oh my God, you should see me last year in the suite. I gotta send you that picture. I was in the suite last year, and I was laying down on the floor with I was showing my ass in that suite.
I need to see it. Every time I see it, I'm like, I need to be there. Like that is what I need to be.
Can you pull up a picture on right now if I send it to you like on Twitter?
Yeah, I could probably get it up by the time we're done.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, send it to me and I'll see if I can put it up here by the time we end. And then my last question to you is this is your moment. This is your open opportunity. I'll let you take take a drink if you need to take a minute, take a
breath.
All out. What would you like to say to the GM or the owner? If you could send them a message, if you could tell them anything, if you could give any piece of advice, what would be that advice? What would you like to say?
I will pay very close to the college football season because I feel like we're going to need to put our eggs into a quarterback. I feel like before you pull the trigger and try to spend a bunch of money on Baker, you need to step back and just pause for a second. And I know the quarterback position is very hard. I know it's hard to find a good quarterback. I get it. But we're going to have to think long and strong about the quarterback position to see if Baker is truly your future quarterback, or you're going to try to go get a young gun to fill the void. You know what I mean? We need that at this point. You know what I mean? There's nobody on the bench. You know, even though I like my undrafted free agent, I can't think about so much about him. I mean, he's an undrafted free agent. He's not a starter.
Yeah.
But I think we should think long and hard about finding the true future quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because we don't have one. And I feel like we're always going to go as far as our quarterback takes us. So that's what I feel. Think long and hard about Baker before you invest in him and making him your future quarterback. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just not. I'm not so.
You're just not there yet.
Check your Twitter when you get a chance. But yeah, I'm just not so.
Did you
say?
Okay. So. Oh God. Okay. I don't know. It's interesting because I feel like in life, there's certain moments where it's like you either do what you've always done, or you have to be better and be different.
There you go.
And this is Baker's opportunity.
This is you.
And to be better, to be different.
Yes.
And I don't know if he can.
I think he's expired.
But I hope that he can. I hope that he can. I just hope that he can. Okay, I just got the picture. Let me see if I can. You're a mess. Let me see if I can pull this up. Now you're testing my StreamYard skills, of course. Leave it to you to test my StreamYard.
You don't have to. It's just, this is why you can't take this. This is my boy who sent me that tweet. He's like, this is why I can't take you nowhere.
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
There it is.
This was if anybody didn't know the Tampa Bay game. First of all, this game was insane. First of all, first game of the season, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the Tampa Bay Falcons game, the stadium was sold out, jam packed. So my buddy is kind of like a big wig. He's a Cowboys fan. So he was just like, yo, I got a suite. You know what I mean? You want for sure? Let's hit it. Of course, the suite is full of Falcons fan. I'm the only Bucs fan in there. All right, unlimited drinks, unlimited liquor. This was at the very end of the game when we made an interception and basically sealed the game. And I got on the ground with my drink and I laid there into the end of the game. I laid there for like 10 minutes.
In the suite where all the other fans were. In the suite,
and people were dying. Like, my boy is like this, and we were both very drunk. He's like, this is why I can't take you anywhere, because you are a fool. You know what I mean? So I make my presence known every time I hit a game. So I'm a diehard fan. You know what I mean? I'm going to go to every Bucs fan. Yeah, every Bucs game. So that's a funny picture. People love that picture.
No, I love that. You should have worn the popsicle. Do you have a popsicle uniform?
I literally
creamsicle.
Creamsicle.
What do you guys call it?
Creamsicle.
Is it creamsicle?
Yeah,
creamsicle. It's my favorite.
Yeah, I kind of switch them up every year. You know, that was a Brady jersey my boy got me. So I was like, let me just switch it up every year. You know what I mean? I think with my creamsicle maybe the year before. So I have like 6 Tampa jerseys. So I just pick one and keep it going. You know what I mean? So
the fact that he took that picture also makes the picture better.
Because I sat there and I was so gone and I was so ecstatic. Like, I was so happy. Like, you could see the little grin on my face. Like, I was so happy. You know what I mean? Like, first game of the season, we beat the Falcons. I'm talking trash all day outside the stadium. They wanted to fight me. You know what I mean? I love it. I love it.
I love that. Shout out to attending games. There's nothing like it.
Gotta go to a game. And it's right here in my backyard, so I gotta go. And I'm thinking about going to Tampa this year for a game also. I used to do that all the time. So,
I think we play the NFC South this year.
Really?
I feel like the Steelers play the NFC South this year. Because I think we play the Saints, because the reason why I think that is because Texas plays LSU in Baton Rouge, and the Steelers play the Saints, I believe, in New Orleans. Like, because I remember thinking, like, what are the chances that it's not gonna happen? It's like not gonna happen. But you know, my life doesn't work like that. Like, it just doesn't.
It doesn't line up that way, right?
It's just a no. That way. Yeah, it's gonna be some crap. Like, you know, whatever. I'll leave that where it's at. Awesome. Well, that was all of the questions I had for you. We'll end with you, but like I always say, first of all, thank you, obviously.
No, anytime.
Thank you for being amazing, and thank you for thank you. You're not only like being amazing doing this, but like you helped me so much just like on the back end of YouTube stuff that people will never know. I know, and I feel like too, so many people take people's advice personal when you're in this space, and I'm like, feed me, tell me everything, like all of it.
That's how it is. YouTube is a rough game. If you have somebody, I'm not saying I know everything, you know what I mean? But I mean, I know enough to help somebody out that's just starting out. And I love helping people on YouTube. Like, I love having conversations about YouTube. So
I love it. And I've asked pretty of probably like dumb questions, and you probably repeated yourself a few times.
Dumb
but that's okay.
YouTube,
That's okay.
It's a constantly evolving platform. So things change.
It is.
Ways. Like we were just talking before this went live. Like I gotta adapt to some of the new stuff. So you just gotta, constantly evolve and use some old school, tricks and tips and tricks. But
I feel like the old school tip and trick that will always remain the same is the consistency. And I think that's the one thing you told me probably day 1, day 2, week 3, month 3 is like,
if you can't show up for the audience, if your audience don't know when you're coming, they're not gonna look forward to it. You know what I mean? So consistency is key in everything.
Yeah,
so
I appreciate that.
No doubt.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you. And anyways, we'll end on you. So all your stuff will be in the description. And whatever.
Check it out. Like I said, follow me on Twitter if you're funny. If you want to see me rage, I talk a little bit about Colorado football. I'm not a fan, but we'll talk about that, in another story. But
I don't even have the energy.
yeah. So, but yeah, that's me. I'm a tech person. On socials, I'm technically across socials. Find me, man. Holla at me. Tampa Bay, fan all the time, but I don't really talk sports on socials. It's mostly tech stuff. If you follow my channel, I talk mostly tech, but I'll throw a little jab at football in there every now and then. But that's me though. Check me out. I tend to go live usually once a week on my channel, and they're usually, she's been in my live stream. They're always chill. I'm always catching a drink. So, and you'll see this same view as I live stream. So, and
if you like tech stuff, even if you don't understand it, like you will understand it. And even the chat is always pretty lovely too, with different things.
My chat is on fire. Yeah.
And you get to see all of Technically T's gadgets and all of the different camera angles and the different things,
3
and
cameras
the music
in here,
and the vibe and the
I'm
setup.
I'm a big person on quality. I'm a quality snob when it comes to YouTube.
Yeah.
So
I love it. Well,
so that's it.
Always. Shout out to you. I appreciate you.
You already know.